Welcome to Comics with Dan. I'm going to be reviewing Space Ghost number 3. Once I heard that these were supposed to be sort of self-contained stories in each issue, my opinion has sort of changed on them. I think that if that's the goal that Pepose is going for, then he's definitely accomplishing that. This one had a little bit more overarching story to it that carried over from previous issues, but it was still pretty self-contained. This was a classic heist story with a little bit of a twist on it, so it's definitely not predictable in that manner. But it was just a really fun heist, getting the team together and trying to take down Robo-Corp. David Pepose had told me on Twitter that he was using more of Jan and Jace's point of view rather than Space Ghost's point of view, in sort of contrast to the 2005 DC series. I'm enjoying getting to see Jan and Jace fleshed out a little bit more and how that really affects Space Ghost. It was very briefly touched on in the 2005 series, but this is definitely a lot heavier here. This is more of a Jan-centered story, but it's really cool to see that and also to see Space Ghost sort of turn into a parental mentor figure for the kids. As I said before, this is a classic heist story where you have Space Ghost, Jan, Jace, and the Widow all have to team up to get into Robo-Corp and kind of take them down from the inside. This was a really fun issue. It really gave me that Ocean's 11 vibe, where you're getting the team together. It's this motley crew of characters that don't necessarily on paper fit well together. You've got this brooding hero, Space Ghost, this evil villain, the Widow, and then these sort of fun, jovial little kids kind of running around with their pet monkey. So it's definitely not your traditional team up, but every bit of it's super fun. On a side note, I'm really uncertain as to why through the first 3 issues, Space Ghost's real name is Dax. That's not something I've seen in Space Ghost lore before. His name to me has always been Thaddeus Bach, which doesn't seem to be the case here. The Widow is aware of what Space Ghost's real name is, so this definitely seems to be something of a plot point that's going to be building throughout these issues. So I'm wondering when we're going to get kind of further into that, but I'm excited for it. It's definitely adding some mystery and some intrigue into the series. Once again, Jonathan Lau's art is really nice. He's using more traditional shading techniques where you can actually see the pencil lines, which I think adds a really nice texture to it. A lot of times it's a toss-up as to whether or not that particular style looks good, but I think Lau really executes it well here. I'm personally a big fan of the shading because it prevents the book from being too dark, which you want some darkness as the book takes place in space, so there's bound to be a lot of darkness, but you still want to be able to see what's going on. So I think Lau does a really good job of using his shading to his advantage and making it so that everything's visible and you can see all the great art that he's putting out there. Additionally, it gives it sort of a more raw, unedited feeling that I appreciate. Andrew Dahlhaus, his colors can only be described as cosmic, which is absolutely perfect for this book. They're extremely vibrant and colorful when need be, but also extremely dark when the situation calls for it. The colors have been a highlight since issue number 1. The costumes are extremely vibrant and then contrast really well against sort of the darker backgrounds that you see. The action is extremely exciting and explosive, which I think you can attribute to both Lau's great pencils and Dahlhaus's awesome colors. The letters by Taylor Esposito are excellent in this issue. The speech bubbles flow extremely well from page to page, making it a really easy read. And in addition to that, the sound effects help Lau and Dahlhaus's art explode off the page. So a really cohesive effort by the entire creative team for this issue. So far, each issue of Space Ghost has been in the right direction. We're getting these little self-contained stories, but that are also sort of building up on the larger story at hand, which is a really great way to do comics, in my opinion. You get the satisfaction of a story from start to finish in one issue, but you also get a feeling of, well, what's going to happen next, which I think is just perfect. I think that there hasn't been anything overly mind-blowing in these first 3 issues, but I do think that Pepose has said he plans on being on this book for a long time, so it's very possible that the intent is that it's going to be a slow burn, a really big build up to a huge confrontation later on, which I'm really excited for. Right now is the best time to hop on the Space Ghost train, so go check out this book. Make sure you like the video, make sure that you subscribe, check out these other videos here, and thanks for watching.